Good day, fellow Jersey nerds, and welcome to episode 46 of the Jersey Nerds podcast powered by HockeyJerseyConcepts.com. I'm your host, Ryan. Tonight I'm wearing a white Reebok New York Islanders jersey, and that is for good reason, because we have a very special topic this week. We're talking about the New York Islanders' third jersey apparent leak that came out. We're also going to be touching on the CCM Quicklite uniform system that's going to be deployed in the AHL, and we have a very special guest this week, Pucky the Whale. We talked to him earlier. We recorded that interview, so we'll be playing that for you on today's episode. And we also have quite the cast of characters jumping in on this podcast this week. Making his triumphant return, Tuesday's writer, Ben. What's been going on, Ben?
Not a whole lot. I did get a new job. Other than that, just laying low, quiet, good summer. So, not a whole lot to talk about.
Pretty sweet. That sounds good. Once you get to my age, mid-30s, laying low and keeping quiet sounds good. Also on the podcast is, we're talking Islanders, so you know he would pop up. It's like fishing. Wednesday's writer Phil. What's going on, Phil?
I'm doing all right. How you doing?
Pretty good. Also,
sore from my hockey tournament, but otherwise well, I should say.
Yeah, well, okay. So talk about, people obviously can't see it, but what jersey are you wearing tonight?
I'm wearing a game-worn, authentic Pittsburgh Phils jersey, the baby blue jersey based on the Penguins' original Winter Classic jerseys from when the Winter Classic first started, actually. And it looked nice. We were the best-looking team out there, so...
That always counts.
And, of course, it says Phil, not Kessel, back there, since, of course, our team is named after the legendary Phil Kessel.
Phil Kessel. What a treat. Also, on today's podcast, Friday's writer, TC. What's going on?
Not much. Just enjoying my last day of the long weekend and closing it out with always the highlight of my week, the HJC podcast.
There you go. That might be a little sad. If that's your highlight.
Yeah, that's kind of sad.
I lead a very depressing life. Don't judge me.
And finally, Sunday's writer, Steve. What's going on, Steve?
Not too much. Kind of less stressed now that I have a home.
Yeah, you're doing the exact same thing that I did, and planning a wedding and purchasing a home at the same time.
Yeah. For anyone who plans to ever do that, do not do it unless you have a very high toleration to stress.
Yeah, try not to do that, definitely, because you just can't. You can't do both at once. It's a gong show. I'll tell you what's not a gong show is the Jersey Nerds podcast. So let's get started.
We don't know about that.
Okay, so this past week, we had an apparent leak of what is to be the New York Islanders' alternate jersey for this upcoming season. And it's heavily based on the Stadium Series, I guess just straighten out their Stadium Series jersey. We have squared white shoulder yokes. We have an orange trim on the Adidas collar. It's a blue jersey, broad white stripe with a broad orange stripe underneath it. And we have a slightly modified version of the NY logo as the primary crest. I'll start off with, is it disappointing that this is not an orange jersey? And I got to get Phil's reaction first on this. Disappointed that it's not an orange jersey, or are you happy with this apparent leak?
You know what? I am kind of disappointed it's not orange. But if they're going to go with a blue jersey, this is a very good jersey, in my opinion, because we saw how much of a success the Stadium Series jersey was in terms of how Islander fans eventually warmed up to it, because you know how they hate change. They hate everything that happens with this franchise. So for the negative reaction I've seen out there, it's kind of less so than it was for the Brooklyn jersey and about the same as the Stadium Series jersey. So I expect a similar trend for that. So I expect Islander fans to like it. I like it. It could have been orange, but oh well.
Ben, are you disappointed that this isn't orange?
I'm disappointed, not in the sense that they needed another blue jersey, but that this blue jersey is quite similar to the one they already have with the orange and white stripe. And then really beyond that, they just slightly modified the logo, added a shoulder yoke, and they took out the hem stripe.
TC, same.
Basically,
Sorry, go ahead, Ben.
it's just basically what they're wearing now, just slightly modified. I think if they made it orange, it would have been different enough to justify having a whole nother jersey in the set.
Yeah.
Okay, whoa. Basically, what they wear right now. Do you see the difference in the striping?
Yeah, hardly.
Instead of a cuff, we made it a second stripe.
So it's less obnoxious, actually.
Yeah, true.
TC, what do you think about this not being orange? And now that we're on it, is it too similar to what they wear currently?
I'm not gonna lie. I am not as bummed about it not being orange, if only because I remember their last venture into an orange jersey, and that went over as well as Rodney King's swimming lessons.
Oh no!
Crotch party.
So I don't know. I don't mind this. For me, it's hopefully they will be moving towards this as a primary pretty soon, because Phil's right. It's a lot less obnoxious than their current set. Everybody knows I'm a sucker for a white yoke, and I really like this modified version of the NY logo, where they moved the 4 stripes down to the blade of the stick, so it's more like actual tape instead of some random thing halfway up the stick.
Hey, that thing was popular in the 70s and 80s. It'd be like this foil wrap right by where the blade. It was supposed to give the impression that the blade was a separate piece that you could detach from the stick. It was a staple of 70s and 80s hockey sticks.
Right,
Oh,
70s
God.
and 80s, and what decade are we in now?
Oh, well, the Islanders would still love to live in the 70s and 80s. So.
That's they would love to, I'm
So
sure.
so would Lou
but they're not.
Lamoriello.
And Lou does. He does his damnedest to live in that time frame.
Are you kidding me? Lou is so against facial hair. In the 70s and 80s, we're all about the mustaches.
Okay, Lou Lamoriello in that case is living in the 1950s.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve,
We
disappointed
got
that
2
this is-
hairstyles. Buzz or high and tight.
Let's go to Steve about an orange jersey. Disappointed?
Actually, no, I'm not disappointed. I would have been disappointed if it was any other blue design than this. Because I really like the Stadium Series design. I think it was a good design out of all the Stadium Series jerseys, and I thought it worked really well for the Islanders, and it was something that they could have used as a full-time alternate. It's unfortunate that they didn't, but for them to bring a design that has a lot of characteristics from it really works well with it. I mean, it would be nice to see an orange one, but there's so many possibilities that you could go that 9 times out of 10 it probably wouldn't have turned out as good as this.
For me personally, I am disappointed they didn't go with an orange jersey. They have a great looking blue jersey, and they use orange really well. So why not use this opportunity with an alternate jersey to kind of feature that orange, or maybe even use a different shade of orange, like maybe a burnt orange, not so vibrant. But I do appreciate the slight alteration to the logo. I also like that they went with orange numbers with the white trim on it. That's kind of cool. As far as I don't know. I guess you can say this is based on the Stadium Series jersey. It's fairly similar, but I just think we're at the point where that ship has sailed. We've moved on. We want something new. So for me, this does fall a little flat, but at the same time, it very much could be just a garbage can of a jersey. Let's go to Ben. Ben, from what we've seen, does the script on the Islanders helmet, the one that says Isles, and we haven't seen a clear picture of it, is this working, or is this kind of just they're trying something new and they've just kind of slapped it on the helmet?
Yeah, it absolutely works. I think there aren't enough word marks in hockey right now, and it's really hard to screw up a helmet. I mean, let's be honest. This is going to be so small, it's going to be hard to see from the stands.
See Arizona State.
Yeah, that's true. Because I retweeted something. I retweeted some Arizona State. They said it takes them 15 minutes to design each of their helmets. But anyway, yeah, sorry, go ahead, Ben. We kind of cut you off there.
Like I said, there aren't enough word marks, and I mean, if this crashes and burns for some reason, it's on the helmet, so not a huge gamble here.
Phil, thought on this script?
It looks nice. It's obviously they're trying to come up with something similar to the Minnesota Wild script from what I'm looking at, and it kind of works because like the Islanders are being fairly conservative with their design idea, and so what better way to be conservative than to try and create like a faux back kind of look with the Isle script, especially since considering their last script looked like this. I'm holding up the Brooklyn hat. It was BKLYN. That was their last script, and that was not good.
Or the one before that.
Oh, the one before that was awful, where it was just Islanders, but like orange with a white outline and just kind of lazy.
In franchise font. That was the font.
Yeah.
Available for free.
That's how lazy it is.
Available for free across the internet. TC, this Isle script, what are you thinking?
There's not a lot to think about it because, I've seen clearer pictures of Bigfoot than of this helmet design. I like the idea of the script. Like Ben said, it's underrepresented in hockey, but I think it's kind of odd because it's more of a classic design to pair with a more modern looking logo and jersey design and then have sort of the throwback. Like with Minnesota, the script worked because they went for more of a throwback look. I think with the more forward-thinking uniform, they could have found a better way to incorporate the script.
Steve?
I'd have to agree with DC on this one. It does seem out of place. Even though it's going to be on the helmet, you really won't notice it, and the jersey is the main. But the Isle script itself does seem a little out of place compared to the jersey design and the logo usage itself. So, I mean, it would be really nice if they used a classic style jersey with that script, but overall that script's not bad at all, and it is a underutilized thing within hockey, and I think that's kind of because that for the longest time that was kind of like the go-to for every single team from beer league up. If they didn't have a logo or anything and they just want a script, they just put one on there. So I think that they could use it in a capacity or maybe even just on their current helmets and probably leave the logo that they have for that alternate jersey onto that helmet. But otherwise, yeah, it does really mix strangely with the current design for the alternate.
Yeah, I would agree there. It feels like a separate piece that's just kind of been thrown on here. I think what would help for me is if it was also thrown on the breezers, the pants. I think that would maybe try and tie it in a little more. But at the same time, maybe also there's something we haven't seen. Like it would be really cool to see some sort of merchandise line come out. Maybe some Letterman jackets with this word mark on it. That would be kind of cool.
I would buy one. I would definitely buy one of those.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, but you also bought the BKLYN hat, so
okay. You know what?
So
I tried to spend my money wisely, and it
one day, that's gonna be worth a lot of money, guys.
Oh well, it's so Phil can fondly remember the Islanders' time in Brooklyn, which was just a smashing success from day one
on slushy ice.
On slushy ice. I don't know. The thing I'm going to remember, the thing I'm going to remember the most about the Islanders in Brooklyn is the Honda car in the corner. Phil said,
the SUV. The SUV.
Didn't you say it has its own Twitter account?
Yes, it did. It's Isles White SUV. In case anyone wants to follow.
Well, there you go. It's going to be more famous than the Islanders' time in Brooklyn.
Exactly.
All right. So overall, with what we've seen, and assuming this is the actual third jersey, pleased, disappointed. Could they have done something better? And I guess if you have to throw a rating on this out of 10, what would you rate it? We'll start with Ben.
I think overall it's a little disappointing. We've already gone over the reasons, but in a vacuum, it is kind of a nice design. I would rate it a C. Nothing spectacular, but it could be a lot worse.
Okay, Ben rates it a C out of 10. That'll be tough to top. Let's go to Phil.
I'm teetering between a 7.5 and an 8, so because I'm biased, I'm going to say it's an 8. And the main reason is because we already saw it before, but we already know that it works. Like, they changed the logo a little bit so that they got rid of the stupid chrome. They put the tape on the hockey stick where it belongs instead of on the shaft of the stick. It belongs on the blade. And it looks nice. The orange numbers actually make it look better, in my opinion, than the Stadium Series jersey. And I love the Stadium Series jersey, so I'll give it a solid 8 out of 10.
I agree with that. Yeah, I like that. TC, disappointed, pleased, and a rating.
I'm pleased because we've seen this offseason a lot of teams go back and retool existing designs to make a third. And so far, this has been one of the most successful ones that comes to mind for me. So I think it's another 8 out of 10.
All right, Steve?
I'm going to say that this was a safe choice, and I'm going to give it a 7 simply because they didn't get more unique with it. But, however, they went, like I said, a safe route, and they went a good route. And it's a good jersey, it's going to sell. So I have to give it a 7.
And I completely 100% agree with Steve. It's a safe thing to do, but I am going to add a half point to my rating just because they're trying something at least different. It's not just pulling a old jersey out of the closet and slapping it on the Adidas template. So 7.5 from me on that one. Let's go on to the CCM Quicklite uniform system that's going to be employed across the AHL this season. And most notably, we saw a teaser of it at the AHL All-Star Game in January 2018, I believe is when the All-Star Game was. But it really didn't show us all the features that they are going to use this year. And that is kind of that carbon fiber look on all of the collars. And then in the back, on the back collar where the CCM branding will be, this is actually a stitched-on panel of the jersey. CCM in bigger letters than we've seen before. And then we have 7 or 8 cascading lines running down the top portion of the player's spine. And this is a pattern that we have seen before on CCM shoulder pads. So looking at this, how do you feel about the carbon fiber look on all of the collars? And this will be applied to all AHL teams, Steve.
I really don't know how I feel about the carbon fiber. I think it would work really well for some teams, but not for the majority of them, because teams with a classic look like the Providence Bruins, who traditionally go with that yellow P and the Bruin wheel, that's not going to fit anywhere into their color scheme. Now, with the Barracuda, yeah, that really works with their jersey. And with the Rain, it works with it because it's on black and carbon fiber is black itself. But going into other teams that not necessarily have either more of a traditional design or something along the lines of that, it does get a little unusual. But as for the back part, I don't understand the reasoning for adding an additional layer to a jersey just so you could have a screen printed CCM with 7 lines on it. It seems like it's a unnecessary use of fabric, and if they were to just put it on there some way with some type of sublimated process or even some type of screen printed process, it would have been much more efficient.
TC, thoughts on the carbon fiber collars and then the CCM branding panel on the back?
I sort of agree with Steve. I really like the carbon fiber collars for certain teams with more modern designs. It's going to work a lot better than teams with more classic designs. I will say the tie down on this works a lot better than I think it does on the Adidas system, because it actually looks like it serves a purpose here instead of just randomly being put on a jersey. It looks like it could be holding the color together. But that back panel extra giant logo with the 7 cascading stripes just seems entirely unnecessary to me.
Phil, agree with that, or?
I mean, the only thing I can do right now, personally, is imagine that collar that I've seen between, like, the leaks that we saw from Carolina, or not Carolina, Charlotte, rather, and other teams around the AHL, and the unveilings and stuff. And I can't picture that with the Bridgeport Sound Tigers and imagine it looking good. I mean, you have a solid blue jersey, and then that thick orange collar going all the way around. Like, really? It's not going to look good. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it has.
CCM messed that one up.
It has potential to ruin some teams here, so that'll be.
For sure, and I think the Sound Tigers are going to be one of them.
Yeah, I like the Marlies jerseys because I'm just playing the homer angle here. So this this carbon fiber collar has potential to mess up what is supposed to be more of a classic looking jersey, and you're adding this modern feature. But across the board, I do like this attempt to do something different, and I think on a lot of jerseys it's not really distracting from those jerseys. Ben, what are you thinking about the collars and the CCM branding on the back?
Not a fan of the collar. I think this has the same problem with the Adidas collars. They're just way too thick. It looks like it was for, I don't know, horse racing rather than hockey. I think the carbon fiber rather gives it a shine that it really doesn't need. That's a really weird part of the jersey to emphasize. One thing I do like, and I'm not sure what team I'm looking at, but I think it's the Charlotte Checkers. They do have collar laces, and I think this is an upgrade over previous CCM jerseys because it looks like the laces are actually doing something here. Looks like they're actually holding those two halves together, where on the other ones they were just kind of thrown on for no reason. As for the CCM patch, I kind of like this because if you think about it, if a team goes with yoke stripes and put them on the back, if you put that patch on, it's going to break that stripe up better, so you can actually see the CCM branding. What I don't like about it are those 7 stripes. They're way too much. It's too distracting, and it kind of hurts CCM because it takes up space where they could have made their own logo bigger. So, not really sure what the rationale was behind that.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you there, Ben. The kind of CCM branding on the back, I get it, but it's going to get in the way or deter anybody from doing any kind of yoke stripes there. So we have Adidas with their Quicklite jersey system, and this is CCM's response with their Quicklite jersey system. Between the two, which one do you favor, Steve?
I'm gonna favor CCM. I think their color works better overall. The yoke will actually look more like a yoke rather than some squared off part with little round edges to call it a rounded yoke. But most of all, it's not really reinventing the wheel, it's just improving on it.
TC?
I'm going to throw my weight behind CCM as well. While that back panel is absolutely atrocious, I think the collar is much, much better than on the Adidas system.
Phil?
Definitely Adidas, because unlike CCM, you can actually do what you want within the collar. From what I see from CCM, it looks like you're only going to be able to have one solid color on the collar with maybe a little bit on the inset, based on the pictures we've seen from the Charlotte Checkers. And combined with the fact that you see like that brighted or like that sublimated pattern or whatever that's going all the way around the collar, you don't get that with Adidas. So Adidas definitely looks better in my opinion.
Ben?
Take a page right out of Bepo's playbook, sit on the fence on this one.
Uh-oh.
I just need to see these CCM jerseys on the ice to make that call.
All right, so Ben's live from the fence tonight. This is a hard one for me, but I'm probably going to take CCM, and that's just based on the the possibility of the replicas fitting better than Adidas. I hate the Adidas fit of the replicas or their authentics or whatever we're calling them. But I think CCM is going to do a better job with their replica jerseys available. So that's the only reason that I'm going to throw my vote behind CCM here. So 3 votes for CCM, 1 for Adidas, 1 for the Fence. CCM comes away with the win there, and we've really only seen maybe 3 jerseys in the Quicklite system from them. So that will be very interesting to see how that plays out and how it evolves over the years. This past week, we did have an excellent opportunity to catch up with the one, the only Pucky the Whale. It was myself, Steve, and Beepo jumped in for the interview. We really want to thank Pucky for giving his time to us. So here's that interview now that we recorded earlier this week. Our special guest today on the Jersey Nerds podcast has the honor of his likeness being stitched onto one of the most beloved jerseys of the 1980s. His smiling face could be seen not only on the home and road jerseys of the Hartford Whalers, but also in the stands during Whalers games at the Hartford Civic Center. Joining us today on the Jersey Nerds podcast is the one, the only, Pucky the Whale. Thanks for joining us, Pucky.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to get some FaceTime with some fans.
Your image has been enshrined on the Hartford Whalers jerseys for the 80s, Pucky. That must have been pretty cool for you, hasn't it?
Oh, it was fantastic. This is my favorite jersey of all time in the NHL. I mean, the way the green plays with the blue and that wonderful, wonderful logo that they use. You know, fun story, I actually modeled for the tail. Yep, that's Pucky's own tail on the W. And you think of some of the great names that have worn this. Gordie Howe, Brett Hull. You know, it's just a fantastic, fantastic jersey.
Hey, Pucky, you were able to interact with a lot of Whalers fans during the game at the Civic Center. How cool was that?
Yes, the Civic Center. The arena's so great that the roof collapsed before we even played a game in it. But the fans were fantastic. We had a great market in Connecticut where they pretty much grow white people, and we're playing the whitest sport of all time. So naturally, it was packed, and we had some great, respectable fans in the audience.
Well, it sounds like you surely made a connection with the fans, Pucky. Any great stories that you can share about being around the players, maybe?
Oh, yeah. We have these teams. You got Detroit talking about, oh, yeah, we've got Gordie Howe. Well, you had one Howe, and you thought you were hot shit. We had 3 Howes. We had Gordie, we had Mark, and we had Marty. It was fantastic. In fact, sometimes, you know, we'd be having practice, and Gordie, Mark, and Marty would be out there, and Colleen would show up with a plate of cookies, and Mark and Marty, they couldn't help themselves. Their mother came by with cookies. They just wolf them down right there on the bench, leaving crumbs everywhere. It was ridiculous. And then you get guys like Bobby Hull thrown in there with them. Bobby was a wild time. And then I think one of my favorites was Ron Francis. You know, Ron Francis, he had 3 Lady Bring trophies. You just can't top that. He's a real class act. Just wonderful man on and off the ice.
Do you still follow the game, Pucky? Who are some of your favorite NHLers these days?
Mostly the guys that I follow now, guys that I got to know when I was doing my stint with the Whale, the second iteration, the Connecticut Whale, not the new NWHL MNOP, too many letters. They got a bunch of dames playing hockey. I don't know how I feel about that. But I follow Cam Talbot. He was a good goalie for us back on the Whale. JT Miller, he's now on the Lightning. Let's see. Matt Zuccarello, I swear, he's about knee-high to a grasshopper, and yet he's still out there playing hockey. It's fantastic. God bless him. And Chris Kreider, oh, that is one mean mug. You don't look at him the wrong way.
Well, Pucky, as you know, the Whalers left for Carolina in the late 90s, and you probably get asked this a lot, but how did you personally deal with the departure of the Whalers?
How does anyone deal with the departure of their livelihood? I became good friends with the guys down at the Federal, Jack and Jimmy. That's Jim Beam and Jack Daniels. I sort of kicked around Hartford for a while, trying to show up at any sporting event. But, there's not a lot of market for Wales. Every second mascot in New England is the Patriot or the Colonial, but very few Whalers. So I just spent most of my times standing just outside the fence of high school athletic games until they came and told me I had to stop looking at the kids.
All right, Pucky. Hockey did return to Hartford with the Wolfpack of the AHL, and their mascot Sonar became a big part of that organization. And you, in fact, worked alongside him for a season at one point. What can you tell us about your relationship with Sonar?
Sonar, he's a cute kid. I never really got along with him as he was. He took a franchise from me. Like, he just shows up in my city talking about how he's going to be a wolf, but their actual thing is submarines, and he calls himself Sonar, which I don't know. I don't trust that name. I was a bigger fan of his buddy Torpedo. Like, Sonar was the Paw Patrol guy that they had around for the kids. Torpedo, that was the man. He could drink anyone on any line under the table.
The last time we saw you at the Civic Center was the 2012-13 AHL season when the Wolfpack changed over to the Connecticut Whale. Sonar took a year off for that, and you were the solo act. Any fond memories during that year?
I have to say, underperformed, but I enjoyed every last minute of it. For me, I was back where I belonged. I was in the arena with a team that was named somewhat after me. First it was the Whalers, now it's the Whale. Obviously, it's all about the Puckster. That team was named after me. They loved me so much that they brought me back, and it was my moment in the sun once again.
It must have been a bit of a blow to you when the team went back to the Wolfpack name and brought back Sonar and basically just forced you into retirement, right?
Listen, I was crushed, that I brought this kid under my wing when they had the Wolfpack, and then they switched it to the Whale, and I thought, all right, so I was just bringing this kid up so he could be a mascot for some other team. And then that little shite comes in and steals my team once again. He'd done it before. He'd done it again. Like a snake in the grass, came in and forced me out of the position that was rightfully mine.
Okay, Pucky, the Whalers became the Hurricanes in 1997. And with the move and the name change came a new mascot as well. Stormy is his name down in Carolina. Have you seen any of his work, and maybe your thoughts on that?
See, this is the one that really sticks in my craw. At least with Sonar and Torpedo, it somewhat made sense, like the Wolfpack submarine. But we go down to Carolina, and we're the Hurricanes. Okay, that makes sense. They get hit by a lot of water coming off the sea. And then what do for their mascot? They bring in a pig. You know what North Carolina is famous for? Pulled pork. Their culinary masterpiece is a massacre of their mascot. And not to mention, you look at some of the old pictures and some of these new ones, it looks like Stormy's gone under the knife a few times, if you know what I mean. He's got a little nip tuck here and there. He's looking a little fresh face for how old he's been. But I don't know. I just don't trust him, Sometimes I'll go down mascot conventions and he'll call me old man and I'll call him FB, short for future bacon. It's the only way I can really deal with him is sometimes you got to put him in his place because, people used to hunt whales, but at least they didn't feast on their corpses.
Perhaps the darkest moment in your entire history in your mascot business would be Saturday, January 29th, 2011, when a drunken fan attacked you in Section 105. He ended up tackling you and punched you and then fled the scene. Could you tell us more about that fateful night and what it did to you?
That night was my darkest hour. Kevin O'Connell, some dirtbag from East Hartford, came up while I was talking to the kids. I was trying to give them a nice experience, a little meet and greet, kiss the baby, shake the hands. And this degenerate came up, blindsided me, punched me, and then didn't even have the decency to face me like a man. He was banned from the arena for life, which means I can't even get a rematch. And beyond that, when he was arrested, he was charged with 1 count of second-degree breach of peace. Not assault, not animal cruelty. I'm a whale. And that man viciously attacked me. And there's no animal cruelty charges. Where's PETA with the red paint now? And I'll keep this on the down low because I don't want people knowing this. This is just for the true hardcore fans. But he tried to stick a little something in my blowhole. And that's borderline sexual assault. And I don't stand for it.
Okay, all right, Pucky. Before we wrap up here, why don't you tell us what you've been doing since your departure from the public eye?
Lately, not much. A while back, I went to a soccer game. I figured, you know what? I spend so much time supporting the manliest sport known in the world that I might as well go check out the least manly sport in the world. And it was nice to be in front of a crowd, but I just, these guys get a hangnail and it's like they've been decapitated. We've got guys pulling out their teeth and they're back in on their next shift. I can't see how people are getting paid money to fall on the ground and flop like they're having a conniption just because some guy touched their hair. Beyond that, it's been okay. I've been slowly trying to mend the relationship with my kids. They kind of fell by the wayside when I was really working hard to keep that team in Hartford, but we see how that worked out. The ex lets me see him twice a month, so that's good. I've been taking online classes. I'm training to become a shipbuilder, which, it's a little ironic for a whale. But we got to do things to pay the bills, and lights don't run on whale oil anymore. Get it? Do you get it?
Okay, that was certainly a fascinating look at your career, Pucky, and your life, and I think a lot of people are really going to be interested in what you had to say here. Thanks for joining us. Always a pleasure to have someone with the stature of Pucky the Whale make time for us here on the Jersey Nerds podcast. So thank you, Pucky, and take care.
Thank you for having me.
All right, I want to say thanks again to Pucky the Whale for the interview. Really interesting look into his life and where he is now. I guess all we can say is that wherever Pucky goes, we hope that he lands on his feet or his tail, whatever. But good luck to Pucky in the future. It is now time for Throwback Throwdown. Today on Throwback Throwdown, I'm calling this battle the dumpster fire battle. Now, some people will not agree because one of the jerseys involved is not commonly thought of as a dumpster fire around these parts. But today's battle is the 97-98 New York Islanders jersey going up against the 2013 Buffalo Sabres alternate jersey, more commonly referred to as the Turd Burger. So yes. Let's start with the Islanders. We'll include the whole Islanders set here from 97-98. This is the Fisherman jersey, but this was the correction of the Fisherman jersey. and the classic logo was slapped on here. So we have the wave pattern on the shoulders, wave pattern on the hem, kind of swooping stripes on the arms. This was the inclusion of navy and teal in the color scheme. As far as the Sabres jersey, I don't even know how to describe this thing. This is a
besides turd burger.
It's a turd burger. That's exactly what it is.
Yellow to front, blue back. Yeah.
This thing went as far as even to botch its reveal, which was just a gong show. We have a yellow jersey, but there's this.
Fuck you, Steve.
What a legend.
We got a yellow jersey or a gold jersey, whatever you want to call it. We have navy that runs down the sleeves and down the back like a fucking cape. We have, I think we've noted 5 shades of gray on this jersey, or 50 shades of gray, or whatever the fuck it is. We got a pretty cool font. I do enjoy the font here. Unfortunately, it makes a goddamn appearance under the collar where it just says Buffalo. And another cool feature of this jersey was the captain's patches, which was the C or the A above across swords, and then it appeared on the kind of sleeve shoulder area. So
fun fact, if you got a replica, you got neither of those.
That is a fun fact. And that's why this goddamn thing is called the Dumpster Fire Battle. Let's start with the Islanders review, and Phil, lead us off.
All right, so for the jersey that us Islander fans affectionately call the Wave jersey, because in order to differentiate from fish sticks over there, this is a jersey that I happen to have. It's a jersey that I like because I'm nostalgic and I also like weird things, but not as bad as Jets does. And you know what? The Navy jersey actually was kind of good in terms of like how bad it was. I'm not sure if it was the better of the two, but like how they were able to incorporate the navy and the teal together with trim of orange and white. Like if it wasn't as obnoxious of a pattern as it was, it would have been a pretty decent jersey. Never mind the fact that there was no teal anywhere within that Islander logo, because it was the traditional logo, but with navy. So trying to fill in where the teal would be is kind of impossible with that. Many people have tried, and every single one of them have failed. So leaving the logo as it is was the best option in probably a fruitless battle.
All right, TC, review of the Islanders jersey.
I'm going to draw the ire of Phil. I love the fisherman jersey. I think it's probably my favorite thing the Isles have ever worn. To me, like for a team that, you know, I would much if they were relevant, I can't fault them for this jersey. But then they went and took off that glorious Gorton's Fisherman logo off the front and slapped their old logo on it, which didn't fit the color scheme, and just kind of threw off the whole thing, because part of the beauty of the Fisherman logo is the waves in the logo kind of tied it together with the waves on the jersey, and throwing on the old logo just doesn't really fit. So they took what was a glorious looking jersey in how spectacularly 90s it was, and kind of just reverted to their old ways and ruined it with their classic logo.
Also, by the way, let me clarify. I love the Fisherman jersey, okay? So I'm with you on that. And one thing I forgot to mention about this jersey, probably my fondest memory was a fight between the Islanders and the Rangers over at the Coliseum. I was obviously a kid at the time. When Zdeno Chara was on that Islander team, as was Mariusz Czajkowski, and they got into a massive fight with the Rangers, and Dan Cloutier just went absolute ape shit and wanted to fight the entire Islander bench after he was done kicking Tommy Salo's ass.
Poor Tommy.
What a
Salo.
man.
Oh my god. Dan Cloutier was a fucking psychopath.
And he was
Which is what you want in a hockey player.
Right.
We run around with knives on our feet, slamming each other into boards.
Yeah. And you know what they say, goalies are fucking crazy.
Yeah, God.
Dan Cloutier, Tommy Salo. I guess they were battling to see who could let the better goal in from center.
Well, we're not going to contribute anything else. As well as show the fans some fisticuffs.
Exactly. Both teams were horrible.
All right, Steve, your thoughts on this dumpster fire of an Islanders jersey?
So, the jersey itself, I love everything about it. I love the wave pattern. I love the unique striping that's non-asymmetrical. Non-asymmetrical. Yeah, I know. I just realized I was canceling it out. So let me rephrase. The asymmetrical yoke on there, the curved lettering and numbers that are so awkward that you wonder if whoever did them might have been drinking a little too much that night. So might have been drinking like a sailor themselves. But then, like TC said, they got rid of the logo that was literally designed for this jersey. And they put on their old logo because people complained. What would possess someone to take the logo that you designed for a jersey and take it right off and put a logo that has no business being on there onto that jersey?
I'm guessing it was whatever alcoholic beverage that was used.
I'm assuming
name and number on the back.
I'm assuming like vodka or maybe even like that cheap Orlov's vodka, the $5 stuff you buy at your local supermarket.
It was absinthe. We all know it was absinthe.
Yes, but it just, I love the jersey design so much, but the traditional Islanders logo, which is a good logo and I really like it, it's just so out there and it so throws everything off. And it's like having a modern, like I said earlier, having a modern style jersey design with a script on the helmet. I'm sorry, Phil. Your Islanders are way too easy to bash up when it comes to jersey designs.
You know what? You're not wrong, though, because half the fan base does the same exact thing.
We want the fisherman jersey. Okay.
No, we don't!
Yes, we do!
Yeah, exactly, that's the thing. Like, I'm like, yes, we do. Everyone's like, no, we don't. It's crazy.
Ben, your thoughts on this Islanders jersey?
I don't have too many more thoughts to add, except I would like to call your attention to the name and number on the back, and all I can say about this is when it comes to drugs, just say no.
All right, let's switch gears now to, this is going to be fun. This is, Buffalo Turd Burger jersey.
Speaking of just say no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, it would be fun to have Shawn here. He's not here for this one because he's a proponent of the Turd Burger jersey. But
No. He's a proponent of the Buffalo Slug, not the Turd Burger. Let's be clear.
He spread his vile venom and made several people associated with the blog get that jersey simply because it was on sale. He is a cancer, and he tried to spread it through this writing staff, and I would not have it. Anyways, Phil, you're going to lead us off with your review of the Turd Burger.
Okay. I hope everyone here has at least watched the first movie in the Incredibles series. Okay? And everyone should remember that classic line from Edna Mode that said, "No capes!" Right? And literally, what did the Sabres do? Fucking capes.
Capes.
Like, a yellow jersey would be fantastic. We saw how well it worked with the Nashville Predators. If it was entirely yellow. But no! Has to be blue on the back, so that it looks like you're looking at two different jerseys at the same time.
All right, TC, Turd Burger love or no?
Well, as one of the owners of the unofficial HJC jersey, the Turd Burger is a beautiful example of when everything goes wrong in jersey design. There are 7 different shades of gray on this jersey. It has a weird split collar that was foreboding for what Adidas would bring. The cape has already been touched upon. It has awkward silver, that weird shiny thing that the Penguins used for the Vegas Gold before the Edge system. That really awkward 90s material. That's used as almost yoke piping that goes down into a point on gray cuffs, and then inexplicably is also at the very end of the cuffs, not touching. It has the buffalo script above the actual logo, just in case the big white animal in the middle of the logo didn't tell you what it was for. And then on the back, at the sides of the cape, more silver foil shit that just inexplicably juts out at a weird angle from the back of the cape. The only thing that I can give this jersey credit for is that it's the only Sabres jersey during this time period that didn't have pit stains.
Wouldn't that have been glorious? Just why not throw it on there? Another shade of gray.
Another shade of gray.
All right, Steve, anything that you can add to this turd burger essay, essentially?
You want me to go full ham on it? I can go full ham.
Let us know what you hate about this thing. Or maybe there's something that you love and then I can cut you off or whatever.
No. There's absolutely nothing loved about this. Because you know why? This is what we teach everybody here at HJC is to not make these. And it's like they had a 4 or 5-year-old say, okay, what would you want in a hockey jersey?
Capes!
This was the best joke that I made here. It's like someone thought, how do we sum up our mediocrity of hockey in Buffalo? We make this jersey. So, but yeah, it's like the different shades of gray, the color that it's like not even half. It's like 3/4. And then you have just, God, every time I look at that font, it annoys the heck out of me because it makes, like, it's just so out of touch with what the Sabres would wear with that. And the only thing that was ever redeeming on this was the captains and alternate patches that would be on the shoulders instead of on there. And you can't even freaking on a replica jersey. It absolutely blows my mind at all of this, that someone thought from the beginning all the way to making it that this would be a good idea. And there's now a reason why people sell these for $20 on eBay. Not fake ones, actual ones for $20.
I got mine for $13.
Oh, God. The fake
He's still
ones.
overpaid.
Yeah. The fake ones are
You'd
more
have
expensive.
to pay me to own one.
Also, by the way, let me just say this. The ironic part about this jersey is, like, you know how all these jerseys have hanger effects nowadays? This one had one. You know what it says on the inside of the collar? Excellence.
Excellence.
Oh, my God.
Steve, you're laughing at me now for owning one of these, but look how much a Burger King goes for nowadays.
No.
This era's Burger King.
And you guys made fun of me for owning the Brooklyn hat, okay?
No, this will never go down as a highly owned jersey. This is one of those jerseys that they will never bring back out.
They'll never bring it back out, and that's why when people will be looking for them, 3/4 of the world stock are owned by riders for HJC.
Ben, is there...
We are riding these into retirement.
No, someone's...
This is where we get the money for the podcast, kids.
No, it's going to be
residuals.
Now Ryan's going to get a call one day. Then they're going to be like, yeah, you the guys we call to get a turd burger? You want a turd burger?
Please stop talking about our jersey. Ben, anything you can add here to our turd burger pile on?
Well, I had thought that we had touched on everything, but I would like to add one more point. When you look at these jerseys from the front, there's so much color everywhere, except for the hem, and it's bright yellow, which just calls your attention to the beer gut that you'll inevitably have watching this team play hockey.
Just a big bulging yellow spot on the jersey. That is fantastic.
Hold on. I have something.
Okay.
We should come up with the HJC quest. If someone truly wants one, you have to call this guy Frank. He'll give you directions where you have to drive to somewhere in Mississauga. It's in a cave, and then you gotta talk to some little troll, answers 3 questions wisely, or else you can never touch another hockey jersey in your world. You'd have to get that just to have like one. That'd be the only way that you'd be able to get it like 20 years down the road.
You got to walk down Main Street.
I was going to say, one of those questions is, what is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow?
African or European?
I don't know.
Okay, this dumpster fire battle has turned into a dumpster fire review. It's now time to pick a winner, if there could truly be a winner here. And I'll just start it off. I'm picking the Islanders because under no circumstance ever can I ever award the Turd Burger anything, and may God have mercy on its soul. Let's go. It looks like Steve's dying in my video feed, so let's go to Phil. Who's your winner, the Islanders or the Sabres?
Well, the best loser is the Islanders. There is no winner in this contest. It is the Islanders wave jersey because they had forsaken that design with eliminating the fisherman. But yes, there is no redeeming qualities of the Turd Burger, thus the name.
All right, now let's really go to Phil. And
I was going to say, it's like, well, okay.
And who's your winner here?
I'm going to put all bias aside real quick. In all seriousness, if I can go on Google, type the word Turd Burger as one word, and have the second result on Google Images show up as this Buffalo Sabres jersey, there is no reason it should be better than the Islanders wave jersey.
Hold on, I got to know, what's the first result?
The first result is like a clip art turd photoshopped in between a burger.
Fantastic. That's exactly what I was expecting. Good to know.
Okay, there you go. Done.
Good to know.
And then the next result is some guy on the Sabres looking sad.
That could be anybody.
No, it was an actual player. Damn it. Who wore number 19?
They're all sad. Cody Hodgson.
Oh, Cody Hodgson. Yeah, well, that's him.
TC, who's your winner here? Or loser?
As much as I enjoy the horrificness that is the Turd Burger, if we're picking a true winner, I have to go with the Islanders, if only because you take away that logo and put the original logo on it, and I love that jersey. So the fact that the base of the jersey is fantastic and the logo ruins it is not enough to put it past like the absolute loser, which is the Turd Burger, which is just a dumpster fire from the ground up.
A dumpster fire from the depths of hell. All right, Ben, can you make this a clean sweep?
I can. There's no reason to kick Buffalo here.
All right, there we go. Clean sweep. 5-0. The Turd Burger. May it die of gonorrhea and rotten hell. To quote,
Damn!
to quote from Ace Ventura. All right, it's time to move on.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Dan Marino should die of gonorrhea and rotten hell. Would you like a cookie?
Einhorn is a man.
All right, it is now time for fake or authentic. Fake or authentic? Fake or authentic? This is the part of the podcast where I come up with 3 statements which I believe to be true, and then the writers chime in and determine, just like the jerseys you see around NHL arenas, whether or not the statements are fake or authentic. Here we go. Statement number 1. Fake or authentic? If the NHL made a rule that one of Detroit, Montreal, or Toronto had to have an alternate jersey, had to have one, I think it should be Detroit. Ben.
Fake.
Fake, right off the bat. Who would you choose out of that batch?
Probably Toronto, because they've done St. Pans pretty successfully. I don't know if Montreal has done an alternate jersey for being in a rotation.
All right, let's go to Phil. Fake or authentic on this one?
Fake once again. The only alternate jersey that I've seen, not including Stadium Series and Winter Classic, was that 75-year NHL jersey that they had with like the gazillion stripes on the body and the Detroit word mark and like plain font on it. And that was like a one-time thing for the original 6 teams. And the Leafs have had alternates for quite a majority of their existence within the alternate jersey era. The Montreal Canadiens did have one. They had, if you remember, they had the white jersey with the blue chest stripe with red trim around it as kind of like a second or a second white jersey. They didn't really use it too much, especially later on in the team's existence. And considering what we saw with the 100th anniversary of the Canadiens, where we saw 100, well, maybe not 100, but like a ton of like specialty jerseys and none of them good. I would have to say the Toronto Maple Leafs would be the better suited team.
TC, are you fake or authentic on this? Detroit has to have the alternate.
You're all so stupid. I'm going to go 100% authentic, and I'm going to use the justification that y'all used for why it shouldn't be and prove you so wrong. That's the thing. Montreal, we've seen them in alternates, and they pulled it off well. Toronto, they've had tons upon tons of alternates. Detroit, I want to see them pull something out because they've had the same goddamn look for 70 years, and I want to see their fan base squirm. I want to see them wear something. Frankly, I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but it's classic, but it's a boring fucking jersey. It's just red with one white stripe. I want to see them mix it up a little bit, and I want to see them do something that's a little more visually stimulating. And Phil, that one-off jersey that you have, that I own because it's the only Detroit Red Wings jersey that I think is interesting enough to own.
So we want to see Detroit with capes and some silver.
Let's make a red and white turd burger for the Red Wings.
But not only that, but not 7 shades of gray, 8.
8.
Yes, we have to one up.
One up
No,
those
they
bastards.
have to go for 11.
Oh
yeah.
Oh no, that's awful. That's so bad.
And another shade for each Stanley Cup one.
Oh, that's so awful. And you know they would. The silver matches the silver of the Stanley Cup, and there's 11 shades because we've won 11 Stanley Cups.
Yeah. It's like the Ottawa Silver 7, but now it's the Detroit Silver 11.
All right, Steve, fake or authentic on Detroit having to have the alternate between Detroit, Toronto, and Montreal?
This is a very difficult one, and I might end up being a fence sitter, but because I have to, on one hand, the only option that I can see feasible for Detroit is them doing their original white jerseys, which was the reverse of what their current red jersey is, which could work, and that'd probably be the only thing that would ever satisfy a Red Wings fan, would be having that, and then using it as away games, because they won't ever have to see it. So
fuck them.
So
this just in, TC to Red Wings fans, fuck them.
So in that being said, I'd have to say fake, because you just honestly, the Red Wings have such a hard time putting together like anything that you could even consider being an alternate for the future. The Centennial jersey, that was not a good jersey.
That was horrible. That was horrible.
I mean, the stadium series I loved with that sash stripe, with the diagonal stripe on the front and the
Winter Classic was a great jersey.
Yeah, but it would be like that was another white jersey. You gotta think about it this way. What would be a good jersey that's primarily red that they could wear at home?
The red Winter Classic one they had against the Leafs.
Oh, that one?
That was a great jersey.
How would it look in white, though, and not the cream? Because, we're all over that vintage white. That fad has passed.
Has it?
Has it, though?
In my mind, it has. I do not want to see any more of those.
Not according to the customers in my
ever
job.
Again.
Tell that to St. Louis. Because their alternate currently uses the one they just debuted.
Don't remind me. I don't want to. I was highly disappointed by that. Just leave it be. It's St. Louis. If their fans are happy, fine. Go ahead. Just their fans can deal with having a team that always loses in the second or third round of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
As we say in Missouri, I ain't going back to Missouri.
Okay, fake or authentic? Fake or authentic? I prefer a goalie keep a similar design for many years and just make alterations as the years go by. Just like Henrik Lundqvist, Eddie Belfour, Felix Potvin. Who else do we got here? I guess Dom Hasek might be included there. So fake or authentic?
Martin Brodeur.
Brodeur, there we go. That's a good one. Fake or authentic, Ben?
I'm going to say authentic. I'm going to justify this with a story. At the end of his sophomore season at Bowling Green, I made a sign for the goaltender, Chris Nell. I took his mask and photoshopped it onto the head of the soup Nazi, captioned it, "No soup for you." And visited
1 year.
He didn't see it. It was the best sign ever. And the next season, his junior year, he changed his mask design. It totally ruined my sign, and I was not happy.
What did he change his mask to?
It was just a different orange one.
Okay.
Put some, change up the logos.
Okay, all right. Phil, fake or authentic on this one?
I would have to say fake, honestly, because a goalie's, as we said, goalies are fucking crazy, right? Their mind changes from one day to the next, okay? And if that mind has a different design in their head, unless they have an established brand, let them change it. Like, Henrik Lundqvist has an established brand right now. Eddie Belfour and Marty Brodeur, they all had established brands. But yet we have plenty of elite goaltenders who don't have established brands, and they change up their goalie mask every single time.
TC, fake or authentic on this?
I'm going to go authentic because I think that the goalies who pull it off well. Hank, Felix, Pecorine had with his cat thing. And even then, he switched it up with the movies. And then you have the guys like Alex Lyon, the Flyers prospect. He had the horror movie thing going, but he didn't keep it consistent. And he had some good ones with Jigsaw, and then he did the clown from It last year. But now he's on the fucking Sixth Sense. Like, who's going to be intimidated by Haley Joel Osment's 8-year-old face on the side of a mask? No one.
I think it might be more frightening to have his adult face on the mask if you've seen it.
It's horrible. He looks like he ate Bruce Willis. He's balding at the age of like 26.
His money comforts him, though. His bed of money that he
You saw him in
in.
Secondhand Lions. He looks worse than Robert Duvall now.
All right, Steve, are you fake or authentic on this one?
I am fake on this. And I will tell you why.
Please do.
Because there are designs that are so good and so classic they do not need to be touched. An example, Felix the Cat, Marty Brodeur, don't need to be touched. Because, one, Felix had a very unique design that he made adaptable. Martin Brodeur only ever played for 2 teams, and he only played 1 game for one of them. That being said, if a goalie wants to keep a consistent theme, that's fine. However, what I have an issue with is just a goalie using the same design over and over, because I'm the kind of person that says, if you wear that same design and you've had a crappy year with that design, and you've had numerous crappy years, that's a reflection of your personality on your face. And that's just saying, I'm perfectly fine with being mediocre. I really don't care about being a good goalie. Look at Johan Hedberg, for example.
The Moose. Yeah,
every time. But it always changed up.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
that was
But
something
it was
good.
always a moose.
Except that SpongeBob Moose one. That was just terrifying.
Sponge moose. Nightmare pants.
Yes.
SpongeBob
Thing was
Moose
great.
Pants.
But that's the thing. That's like the same thing. It's like you have that common theme, like when goalies have stuff like that. Like Auntie Ranta has his little dog buddy. We have Talbot has
Steve Mason doing all zombies.
Ghostbusters. Yeah, like you can stick with something like that and make like brand, like Phil said, off of it. And so it's still the same basic design because you've got that common thread through it. Instead of let's do the It Clown and then a child.
Well, I'm going a little bit off topic here, but still talking about goalie masks. I don't know if you guys saw, and it's actually on the day we're recording here. It came out on Twitter. Andrei Vasilevsky's new goalie mask design for this upcoming season. It's fantastic. Get your Googlers out and look this up. The front and the sides is standard goalie mask. On the back, we have Jesus being crucified, which is just going to be it's a first as far as I can remember. I'm not naysaying people who are religious or in touch with Jesus here, but it is certainly a first for the NHL. So if you have a chance to go look that up, go look up Andrei Vasilevsky's 2018-19 mask, and the back plate has Jesus being crucified on it. Certainly an interesting choice, but good for him. Fake or authentic? Currently, I would prefer to go... Oh, this is going to be interesting. I wrote this before I knew Phil was on the podcast, but fake or authentic? Currently, I would prefer to go on a Rangers, Islanders, Devils, New York road trip rather than a Ducks, Kings, Knights, West Coast road trip. Fake or authentic, Ben?
This is a tough one. Do I want to sit in traffic for 3 days? Or sit in traffic for 3 days?
They both sound good.
You know, I'm a history buff. I think I'd go with the East Coast trip just because, part of the revolution there, and then New York is, of course, the biggest city in the United States. Lots of cool architecture stuff to see too. That's what I'm into. So yeah, I'd go with the East Coast trip.
All right, Ben's authentic. Phil, would you rather hang around home a little bit or head out to the West Coast?
Okay. Personally, I'd like to travel to the West Coast, and the only reason I'm saying that is because for the East Coast trip, been there, done that. Numerous times. I've been to the Garden numerous times. I've been to the Rock numerous times, and God knows how many Islander games I've been to. I haven't even been counting anymore. I've lost count. I've got to be in the 100-somethings. But besides that, the furthest west I've gone was Chicago, and that was just this year. I went to Chicago for my birthday, and I saw the United Center because it was around the time Stan Mikita died, and I went to soccer games and baseball games. I didn't truly experience hockey there, so I'd like to go there, or go even further west, I should say, for hockey. Never mind the fact I want to go to Chicago again, but again. I've been there, done that for the East Coast. And there's so much to do here, but I've already done half of it. Like, there's so much even more to do out on the West Coast, and I haven't even touched it. So I would love to go out there.
TC, fake or authentic? You'd prefer the New York trip over the West Coast trip?
See, I read this before the podcast on the rundown, and I took it differently. I took it from the standpoint of a player. So when it was in that standpoint, I would say 100% authentic, because those are 3 games that are going to be so much easier to win right now. Islanders,
good point,
suck. Rangers suck. Like, I bleed blue and red, but, well, I should probably see a doctor about the blue parts. But
I'll see a doctor about
these
the orange
teams
parts then.
all suck right now.
Well, hold on. Give the Devils some credit. Like, I mean, Taylor Hall basically carried them to the playoffs, and they did pretty well.
Yeah. But if you're looking at your schedule going forward, and you're saying, do I want to take on the Isles, the Rangers, and the Devils, or do I want to take on the Kings, the Ducks, and the Knights? 10 times out of 10, you're picking that New York road trip.
Yeah.
As a fan, I would do West Coast just because that's where I'm from. Like, I'd love to go back at some point. The weather's a lot nicer during hockey season, and, you know, it's a lovely place. But as a player, 100% authentic that I would rather do the New York road trip.
Also, I guarantee you the Kings shit the bed this year.
Put it on
see that.
record. That's on record now. Steve, fake or authentic? You take the New York trip over the West Coast trip?
I'm going to say fake, just because I know how those teams play. And as cool as it would be, I've already been to New York this year. I don't want to deal with the traffic of going into Manhattan for Madison Square Garden. I don't even want to imagine going to the Islanders and to the Rangers, to the Devils. And the West Coast is a lot warmer in the winter. And, you know, after this winter that we had here, where it snowed all the way from November until April, yeah, I'd prefer the West Coast.
Well, and then you think about the locals. Like, it's just bottom of the barrel on both accounts. New Yorkers and New Jerseyans.
Whoa. Okay.
Or L.A., Orange County, and Vegas. That is just, if you were to put the 5 cities that you should never send a foreigner to, because they'll get the worst representation of Americans.
Philadelphia.
Those are the 5 cities.
No. Philadelphia is all 5 of those cities. Okay.
Philadelphia does take it. Any team that whips batteries at Santa Claus. What heartless fiend.
Yeah. But also, if anyone needs advice about getting around New York, let me know.
Call Phil's hotline.
Let's not even begin on Boston sports fans.
Oh my God. Did I tell you, by the way, about that time that I had a cup thrown at me up at TD Garden?
No.
Probably.
Like, I was at an Islander Bruin game. Like, this is how bad Boston sports fans are. Like, the guys that were next to us were chill. But, like, how dare us do the yes chant a couple times because Tuukka Rask played like dog shit during that game. And you got mad at him, so you decided to take it out on the Island fans going, yes, yes, yes. And you threw an empty beer cup smothered in mustard at me.
Here's some Bruin gold for you. Boom.
And the worst part is it was Christmas time, and I was wearing my ugly Christmas sweater. Was all Islander. That was all Islanders designs.
Looks like you guys mustered up a decent game.
And then you get the genius as you're walking out the stadium. Dude, you got mustard on your shirt. Yeah, I fucking know. Thanks, bud.
Yeah. No, they probably couldn't see it because it was so fucking cold. I had my jacket on and everything, so it was covering it.
All right, so it sounds like the West Coast road trip wins out there. That's fine. I'll just go on the New York road trip by myself. I'll be sure to call Phil's tourism hotline for some hot tips on how to get around New York.
Stay in Jersey. Take the train.
5 Napkin Burger, Myth and Walensky's.
Scares the hell out of me to stay in Jersey. I've heard that arena, much like Chicago, is not in a good part of
Don't
town.
stay in Newark. You don't stay in Newark. You stay in Jersey City.
All right. Well, this is all good information. Again, available on Phil's New York Tourism Hotline, 555-PHIL, and he'll pick up right away and answer all your questions, pressing questions about
Where should I stay in New Jersey? The airport. Because then you can get out of there as quickly as possible.
At a rate of $30 a minute.
All right. Well, today we didn't again do a good job of promoting the mailbag, and mailbag doesn't seem to be too popular. So that may be floating away as far as the podcast goes. But we're not going to do it this week.
Ask us ridiculous questions. We don't care.
Get them real. Yeah, let's.
Well,
You know how many hippo questions I've answered?
Not enough, apparently, since we don't have a mailbag today.
What's your favorite type of hippo? I want someone to ask that. What's your favorite type of hippo? All right, so
Just a giraffe or a game-worn jersey.
do you think you could hog tie a giraffe for a jersey? All right, so anyways,
the guy dressed as Jeffrey the Giraffe from Toys R Us doesn't count because Toys R Us is dead.
No,
Hey.
he's you know what he's becoming? He's becoming Pucky.
Yeah, he's Pucky's new drinking buddy.
The funny
Oh, yeah.
part is, he actually made an appearance at a baseball game. There was a Charleston River Dogs game down in South Carolina. I have a friend who works over there, and they had a guy dressed as Jeffrey the Giraffe while the team wore Toys R Us themed jerseys after the company went under. It was
Oh,
amazing.
man.
Yeah, they didn't have to pay licensing fees at that
Exactly.
point. That's just genius.
Exactly.
so when you shop in Toys R, like there's a Toys R Us literally 5 minutes from my house in
Not
Canada.
anymore, though,
was.
is it?
No.
In Canada,
in Canada,
there's-
it's been
What?
saved. Yeah.
Yep, Canada still
What?
has them.
Yep. So
You lucky sons of bitches.
a conglomerate of like Canadian retailers got together and bought the Canadian portion of Toys R Us. So now while you're shopping, occasionally you'll get over the loudspeaker an announcement, or you'll see ads, pure ads through the building that they are not affiliated with Toys R Us USA, and that they will not be going out of business, and that they're here to stay and everything's fine. Nothing to see here.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing to see here.
It's like
Hey,
that meme
hey,
of the
no-
dog in the fire. This is fine. Everything's fine.
Pretty
Pay no
much.
attention to the giraffe behind the curtain.
So this is basically the same attitude from Canada as in 1776.
Yeah, that's it. Oh man. Okay, so again, we're skipping mailbag, but if you want to ask us some awesome giraffe or hippo or just general wildlife questions, you can do that by heading over to hockeyjerseyconcepts.com. You'll find the form on the right side of the page or on the podcast tab. You can also email in your questions anytime. Mailbag at hockeyjerseyconcepts.com. Going on the blog right now, we are looking for a new writer as of the recording of this podcast, because one of our writers is leaving. We will be needing a Monday writer. Anybody here know who's leaving? Anybody want to share who's leaving? Or
I have no fucking idea.
Some asshole New Yorker. Good riddance.
trying to
Yeah,
cleanse the
Too
blog.
much pro Islanders talk.
Nah, I'm gonna be hanging it up. I will stay around to contribute stories and news items whenever
He's
it
gonna
pops up.
become the second friend of the show.
Yeah.
Basically, it's minus the fence sitting.
Yeah.
So,
He'll become the reliable friend of the show.
yeah, exactly. So I'll still be here. I'll still be contributing every now and then when I can. I'm just retiring from the weekly postings of concepts.
So that means we need a new weekly writer. We are having someone move into the Wednesday spot, and that opens up a Monday spot. So if you're interested, check out the link on the page. There's a little icon on the right side of hockeyjerseyconcepts.com, and click on that and get yourself together a mock post and send that in if you want to be a writer on the team. And that also gets you access, I guess, to being on the podcast, which is kind of cool for an hour or so to just shoot shit on jerseys and logos and generally just fuck around with some good guys. Also, we have the weekly Concept of the Week vote going on, as always on the blog, so be sure to vote for that. and the Michigan redesign, just for fun. Got to mention that it's just for fun. Don't want to get into any shit there. Michigan redesign vote is going on the blog. We also have the Jersey Casual stuff for sale all the time, and that offer is still out there. Get the duvet, and you're entered into the Concept of the Year semifinals. Anything coming out of that, Steve, or we kind of stalled at the moment with your busy life?
My life is way too busy to continue on with that for the moment. Talk to me in October after I've had my wedding and I've moved into my house.
There we go. So, I mean, that's still a pretty good roster of Jersey Casual stuff.
There is, but if you do want something, or say you have a team that you want their designs on it, I'll do it. Just send an email over.
Give us a heads up. So that is what we have for you this week. I'd like to thank all our guests, Steve, TC, Ben, Phil, and of course, Pucky the Whale. And we will talk to you guys next week.